If you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, hello everyone. Welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're taking a look at 3 of Playmates' Godzilla Kong the New Empire, Godzilla Evolved. This go around, we have the original basic 6-inch version, the Walmart exclusive 2-pack versus Shimo set Godzilla, and we have the giant Godzilla, 11-inch tall version. So pretty much speaking, you already know the works. Skeleton paint, articulation, size, accessories, price, availability, and packaging. And we're going to also pretty much go through the main core differences between all 3 figures, not just because of the sizes, because let's be honest, that's like pretty much the obvious one, but we're going to primarily go through all of them and see which one is overall just the best. So let's go ahead and take a look. So first and foremost, we're going to take a look at the standard Godzilla Evolved, which will just take the beam out of his mouth. Still a nice tight fit, but here it is. The basic 6-inch Godzilla Evolved, which I have to say, it still stands as like one of my favorite GXK figures, if not, probably wouldn't I say my favorite, but it's definitely up there. But for the overall detailing here for the head, we do have a nice soft plastic material used. It's definitely rubbery. The molding is actually done pretty well. Like, there's a lot of nice little compact sculpted details. Nice sculpted details for the gills and like ridges on the neck. Nice kind of like olive green spray here on the neck. And then we take a look at the mouth here. The teeth are pretty okay painted. They're actually really well painted. Like, this is probably, like, because they use, like, the strip style paint, where it's just one big strip of, like, line paint, this is probably, like, the best application I've seen on a Playmates figure of it. Maybe the 2014 Godzilla could be up there, but this just definitely looks the most pleasing. What's not really too pleasing is the eyes. And even though the eyes are definitely correctly painted, they're just a little too big. Although they do definitely match what they're supposed to be, but we do have a nice kind of like purple, reddish, pink, magenta looking tongue. Nothing on the top of the mouth except the hole to accommodate the beam effect. As you see, we have a little bit of a spray here for orange. And here we have the red dorsal fins, which we're just going to kind of acknowledge right out of the gate. I will say, yeah, the transition doesn't look that great on camera, but personally, I don't really mind it in person. It's definitely, I will say the spray's a bit more thick on this side. Like, it's definitely covering more of the fin on this side than it is here. Like, you can kind of see that. Like, I'm not crazy. And, but the mold on the fins themselves are actually really well done and definitely capture, like, what the movie is trying to go for. More like slimmed down, streamlined type fins. This honestly looks like, again, something you'd see on a Godzilla 2000, except it would be more purple. Here we have the shoulder, and of course the shoulder spike, which is not painted, nor is it really accurate to the movie, because it's more down here rather than here, so it's probably based off some concept sculpt, like the, was it, I think, the concept maquette that, what's his name? The guy who designed him. Jared Krachevsky, I think? There you go. But yeah, we have, like, the molded arms, which are also painted with the claws, like an olive green on both sides in different poses. This one's kind of more bent in. This one's kind of like more reaching out. So definitely like more like the battle stance type pose you get. They are obviously really well detailed because they are made of the more softer plastic, although I kind of wish these were painted. Although if you're kind of like an artsy fartsy type person, then this would be no problem. Also, something that I also noticed, not now, but I've noticed for a while, is that this is more closer to where it is in the movie, not 100% accurate, but this one's also more towards like the upper arm meets the bicep, if that makes any sense. And then here we have like the body here that's like all detailed. But because it's made of a whole more harder plastic versus the more softer plastic that the arms and the head are made of, and especially the dorsal plates, which are translucent red, the body itself doesn't really have as much detail as I'd like it to, and especially like here where it meets like the seam line, it's so smooth and out. It almost looks like a part of a completely different figure, even though it's not. But what we do have nicely done is a kind of like an olive green spray that goes down to the tip of the, well, where the tail meets the body, and it looks really nice. I will say also the legs do look, actually quite well. Even though, again, they're made of more harder plastic and not as quite detailed as they should be, they are actually pretty decently detailed, honestly. Kind of makes you wonder why this wasn't as detailed, but this and this, the front, are actually kind of well detailed. More towards the legs, I would say. But of course, we have like more like the scaling and the segmenting here going down, and it looks really nice. And then here we have the feet, which are made of more like a softer plastic. Again, not too much in the way of detail, especially because like half of it's cut out to make room for the copyright info. But we do get some decent paint applications for the feet, so nothing too bad. And here we have like the fully painted tail, which it's kind of like a salmon orange type spray. Not translucent plastic, unlike the tail, unfortunately. Sorry, the tail. The back fins, unfortunately. But the mold itself still looks really well done. And I'm glad that Playmates didn't really cut any corners when it came to the molding of this guy. It's made of like a bendy plastic. No, there's no like bendable wire inside this tail. But again, like it's definitely got like that spraying effect. I just kind of wish it was made of a different color as opposed to just a salmon orange type color. And even like the Thagmizers, they're painted really well on one end, and they are iffly painted here, but then you kind of get to the underside. Not really too much going on, but again, detail wise, because it is made of a softer plastic, it looks really good. So sticking the beam back up into his mouth, that's the original, and it does look, again, really well done. Next, we're going to go over the exclusive version, which taking his beam out. I kind of notice a bit of differences. For example, mine has like a bit more of how's this? Lesser quality of plastic. What I mean by this is the softer plastics feel a lot more rubbery. Like the head just feels a lot more malleable, the arms feel a lot more squishy, and the tail is a lot more bendier. Because like look at this. I'm barely putting like any effort into that. And like the fins are about the same. Yeah, they're about the same. But of course, like the main difference is gonna be the new blue paint job, which okay, for a split second, I thought that was a crack. I never knew this noticed that before. There's a seam line right there. I thought that was a crack. Whatever. Um, there's obviously a very beautiful blue spray that goes like across the entirety of the front side of the body, and it looks really nice. We have some like darker blues, kind of like in the armpits, and the rest is like the lighter blue, kind of goes from the bottom jaw then to the neck. Definitely like caked on there, and then you have like on the forearms, and then you kind of get to like the legs, like more towards the upper legs are mainly caked in it, and then you kind of get to the tail where you can obviously tell like the base paint, like the olive green from here. It's definitely underneath there, but it's not like because of how much blue paint they caked on here, like that's just a lot. And I do stress that over time there will be some mild scuffing. Mine I don't think is scuffed yet, thankfully, but I do also must warn that there's going to be also some paint bubbles, as I found the other day. Where did I find them? I think that's a paint bubble right there. Yeah, so do keep that in mind when you're buying this figure from the 2-pack. So it's going to be a bit less of quality as far as like the plastic is concerned, because this is hard plastic, but it feels like really cheap, like really hollow. This feels a bit more like a thicker plastic, if again that makes any form of sense. So let's shove the beam back into his pie hole. So essentially speaking, they have the same mold, but let's talk about the Giant. The Giant has, again, technically speaking, the same exact mold, just scaled up. But what's different about this is because of the way that the whole thing is cut, there's no like separation with the spines now. In fact, it actually kind of uses some of the scales and like makes them translucent as well. So the whole backside is translucent, save for like the very, very tip of the tail. And you also have a bit of glittery plastic, which is not on the 6-inch versions, but is on the 11-inch, which you can kind of see a bit of the glittery plastic. There we go. You can kind of see like some flickering. There you go. And the translucent plastic looks a little bit more orange-like, and definitely a lot more glowy. And the eye paint kind of took a bit of a dive, because they got the size correct, but they got it like over here, supposed to like a bit of up there. Although there is some new additional paint up here in the mouth because there's no beam to accommodate this guy. And the chest paint kind of got downgraded to a bit of a sliver that goes down all the way to the base right where it is. But it's not as big as it should be. And it honestly, again, kind of took a little bit of a dive as far as like quality goes. And we do have the infamous screw holes. There's like one, two, three, four, one in Godzilla's leg, and then another one down there, another one down there, and a few in this tail section. I'm not going to go ahead and count them all, but what we do have is some painted in elbow spikes. Thank you. I'm actually kind of shocked it took the 11-inch figure to do that, despite the fact that on the promo pics, he had them. I don't remember if he had them, but he definitely did. And we also continue to have like the translucent fins until we get to like the painted segments where we have the little thagomizer, like all the red paint here, and it looks really nice. We have like some more like the red spray here, and again, it looks really good. Although again, I do have to stress that I'm not really a fan of the detail work because given of how smooth this guy's was, I knew from the start that these guys probably weren't going to be like the best detailed, and I was kind of right. But overall, at least in my personal opinion, as far as like the sheer sculpting paint, I have to say the original probably still has the best. Although this guy does have like the painted in gums and the painted in elbow spikes, I think just overall consistency and the quality of the plastic, it's got to be this one. Plus, not to mention, it doesn't like downgrade any of the paint or the quality of the plastic because he has downgraded plastic. He has downgraded paint where there is paint. And it honestly, again, just doesn't really look the best as it should be. So I got to give it personally to the Godzilla Evolved, even though it's not really like a competition. It's just more of a general figure comparison.